Hi, it's Denis the gardening noob. Yes, it's certainly possible to grow radishes in a pot or in other types of containers. I did it last winter. I started the seeds indoors under grow lights and then eventually moved most of the plants out into my miniature greenhouse. And the bulbs turned out great. If you'd like to try it too, I do have a few recommendations from my own experience that you might find helpful, so keep watching. I grew this root vegetable in two different sizes of containers. In larger standalone pots and in a growing tray with cells that are about half the volume of the standalone pots. The cell tray did well, but in the end, the larger standalone pots turned out to be perfect for growing radishes. The plants in them developed significantly bigger bulbs, and they did so faster too. And that's why I would recommend using containers that are about 8 centimeters deep and about 10 centimeters wide at the top. With smaller ones, the growth will be slower and the bulbs won't grow as big. With larger ones, chances are you won't get bigger bulbs, but you will use more soil and more fertilizer. Obviously, you want your radishes to produce bulbs, not just grow leaves. It's therefore important to grow them in well-balanced, fertile soil. I grew mine in quality organic potting soil. The potting soil by itself most likely wouldn't suffice. So I mixed it with earthworm castings in a 1-to-1 ratio. And the plants loved it. So be sure to use some sort of fertilizer. If you decide to use a different one than I did, check that it has a well-balanced mix of different nutrients, not just nitrogen. Or you may end up with just leaves and no bulbs. I direct sowed about half of the seeds and I started the other half using the paper towel method. The paper towel method turned out to be no faster than direct sowing. So if I were you, I would just plant the seeds directly into the soil. I planted 3 seeds per growing slot, to make sure that I got at least one seedling growing in each. If I got more, I kept only one and thinned the rest. This gave the remaining seedling enough room to become fully established. I wouldn't plant the seeds too deeply though. Up to 1 centimeter deep is more than enough. You can pre-soak them if you want, but radish seeds sprout fast. It's usually within 2 days, so there's really no need for it. The radishes do need plenty of light. While they were still inside, I grew them under high quality grow lights for about 12 hours per day. And when I moved them outside, I kept them on a south-facing balcony where they got as much direct sunlight as possible. Otherwise, the plants would struggle. They would get leggy and weak and just wouldn't produce. I also watered them regularly, as soon as I noticed that the soil was drying out. And I removed yellow, dry leaves every now and then. But apart from that, there wasn't much else I needed to do, really. I don't think that container-grown radishes take longer to grow. The first plants, the ones I grew in larger standalone pots, were ready for harvest 6 weeks after I planted them, which is more or less the same as when you grow them in the garden. On the other hand, the plants in the smaller containers, in the cell tray, did take longer to reach the harvest size, about 8 weeks. What's interesting though is that I could continue to harvest the radishes for 6 more weeks without them flowering or without the bulbs becoming woody or spicy. The cool, late winter and early spring weather certainly helped keep them in check for much longer than I had imagined. Now if the weather had been warmer, I'm certain that the plants would have started flowering much sooner. That's it. I hope this helps you get plump and crisp bulbs from your container-grown radishes. Don't forget to check the description box for additional resources. And if you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments.